It just kind of lays there. And if I'm in a relationship, I just don't want something laying there, so to speak. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Grant takes his music seriously, folks.
I just thought I'd put that in there.
You just don't lie there like a slab of vinyl. Come on, baby.
Come on. Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse. Tonight we are having an episode in the one and done, two and done series. Whitford St. Holmes. We'll explain it later, so let's get ready. It's going to be good.
Talking bands that no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and look who the panel is tonight. We've got BM Bolt, we've got Ernesto, we've got John the Music Nut, and Daryl Collins. DC Tune Time, baby. We're here, and we're going to talk Whitford St. Holmes. Now, this is part of our series. Now, I'm not sure how one and done this is because they put out the original album in 1981, and they put out a reunion album out in 2016. So let's pretend we're in 2015, and it is a one and done, but I guess we can put it in that series because, 2 records, it's a big span of time. So anyway, Whitford St. Holmes, you're going, who in the world is this? Some people may know this, but we've got Brad Whitford from Aerosmith and Derek St. Holmes, who played in Ted Nugent. So if you listen to a lot of those Ted Nugent tracks, Derek sang a lot of them. Of course, Ted sang some too, but anyway, Derek left Ted Nugent. They put out this record in 1981, and I believe at this time, didn't Brad had already left Aerosmith too, correct? Because right. Aerosmith was in shambles. So these guys put out a record, and we're going to talk about it. Produced by Tom Allom. It came out in 1981. They had one single, Shy Away. The reviews for this, All Music gave it 3 stars. It didn't get more than that. I think it was virtually ignored. I don't think this record really sold anything. Do you guys recollect anything did this take off like a rocket? I don't think it did. No. But in the one and done series, we like to talk about these albums that, maybe didn't perform well. Maybe these records that you probably should check out, and this is a good example. So anyway, we've got Byron, Ernesto, John the Music Nut, and Daryl here tonight. And Ernesto came up with this topic. So I'm just going to go around the horn like I see it. Ernesto, John the Music Nut, Daryl, and we'll follow up with Byron. And we're just going to talk about it and see if they like it. And I do want to get your rating out of 10. It's almost like a contrarian dark horse, but it's not a dark horse. So anyway, let's look at this record. Let's see, can we recommend this to the listening public? All right, Ernesto, welcome aboard. Nice to see you. What's your thoughts on this record?
Okay, well, first of all, funny thing about this album, I don't know if anybody can see it. Hold on. Can anybody see it?
I see it, but I'll have the graphic up so you don't have to throw it up there.
Okay, so when you put the graphic up, when you go online, if you even try to find it on a streaming service, it's gone. Literally, they took it off.
They took it off, or had it ever been there?
It was on there. It was on Spotify.
It's on Spotify. But you got to search for the new album, the second album, and it's bonus tracks.
Yeah, but they took out the cover.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. They took out the original cover. And so when you look for the original cover, it's not there. And then I went on Apple, on iTunes to look for it. Couldn't find it either. And then pretty much everybody else took it out completely. So they just put the new album cover, which is just like this blank black picture with the name on it. Very boring, I'd rather look at the original cover, and it just has maybe like 2 tracks that are new, like bonus tracks. I think which one is the bonus track? Mystery Girl and Does It Really Matter? I think those are the bonus tracks, I think. So anyways, I was like, when I first heard about this album and I was listening to it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is different. And I had to go back and listen to it again because it started reminding me of a certain album that we all know. If you guys could see it, kind of reminiscent of this album, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, pretty. Yeah.
Oh, Ernesto, you and I are going to disagree vehemently.
I don't know. I think they're like cousins.
Kind of like
what? No,
kind of like cousins. But I'm not saying I'm not saying in the style of the recordings, because the Hughes and Thrall are totally different. It's more commercial pop, and it's just different. But I'm talking about in the partnership, in the creativity department, they're kind of compatible. That's the only reason I brought that one up. And you got, Derek St. Holmes, who's a great singer. Okay. A lot of people don't know about him or don't talk about him. He's pretty damn good. I mean, he's played with everybody. I didn't even know that he played with, I totally forgot he played with Michael Schenker, and of course, Ted Nugent. I mean, he got Ted Nugent those hits.
Right. Well, he was a big Ernesto. He was a big. His vocals are top notch as a singer.
Top notch hard rock vocalist. No question.
Exactly.
No question.
Very top notch. I liked his singing, and I was like, man, when I heard him in this album, I go, oh, this is actually pretty good. I was very surprised. It really kind of like put me back at listening to his vocals, because I already had heard him in Michael Schenker, which is not a big thing. But when you hear him in Ted Nugent, whoa, it's totally like reminiscent of Ted Nugent. Just not that much of a twang and not that much of a heavy guitar compared to Ted's. But Brad Whitford, I mean, I didn't realize how good he was. I mean, because everybody talks about Joe Perry. Nobody really mentions him.
Well, that's a good point, Ernesto. Why does everybody always point out Joe Perry? Because Brad Whitford and Joe were pretty much, they would trade off, and it wasn't all Joe Perry all the time. And maybe it's because Brad Whitford is just much more kind of subdued, and Joe Perry seems to be more out there and more of a songwriter.
It's even exactly what John said. His presence in Aerosmith, he's kind of like that smallish guitarist to the side, where aside from Steven Tyler, Joe Perry's the guy. He's up front and doing his thing, and Brad Whitford is always off to the side, takes his leads here and there, but he's just not one of those guys that you're going to just zoom in on from a physical standpoint.
No, but
I don't think he wrote very much for Aerosmith either.
No, but I think he is totally on par with Joe Perry as a player. Underrated.
Yeah, I'm not a huge lead guitar fan of Joe Perry. I mean, he's outstanding, but he's not like in my upper
Dick Wagner.
He's no Dick Wagner.
Damn it.
Dick Wagner.
And who was the other guy?
Dick Wagner. No Mark Farner.
Steve Hunter. He's no Steve Hunter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, in this album, I think he really shows his when he plays on this album, it's really good. It stands out,
Yeah. It's probably similar. Ernesto, it's probably similar to George Harrison. You have all this backed up because you're not allowed to deliver, and all of a sudden he's got a venue and a partnership where he says, okay, I'm coming with all the lead guitar now. And it's like boom, boom, boom. Maybe.
It's a good point.
And it's very bluesy. It's soulful. I think it is. It's very bluesy, very soulful. I like it. And like I said, I had to hear it a couple of times. And with Derek's only singing on this. He ain't playing guitar. He usually plays guitar too, but he's not. So you get to hear Brad Whitford play more and very different from everything else he's played in. So when you look at the tracks, like I Need Love, Whiskey Woman is probably covered by so many people, especially by country music players. They love that song. You got Hold On, Sharpshooter. I mean, out of all the songs, 9 songs are together. But my favorite tracks, I'm going to tell you really simple, that I like are I Need Love, Whiskey Woman, Sharpshooter. That's like one of my favorites. And Shy Away. No, actually, Every Morning. Every Morning is a nice ballad. I love that song. And I just realized how good Derek is, such a good singer. I mean, I put it this way. He's kind of like, I'm not trying to put him down or anything. He's kind of like a poor man's Glenn Hughes. That's not a bad thing. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good. That's what I would say.
Poor man's Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Don't get me wrong. That's a compliment because I think he's really good as a singer.
Let me ask you this, since you're on the spot, Ernesto, what do you think about the production on this album? Tom Allom, who was producer for Judas Priest. How do you feel? Do you like the way this album sounds?
It's very commercial. I know that.
It is commercial.
Very commercial. And I think it sounds good. I mean, the songs, like I said, it's kind of like, how would you put it? It's not Ted Nugent, but it's kind of like that in that style of writing, very catchy to ballads and stuff like that. I mean, that's the way I see it. But I think it's pretty good. And like I said, I had to hear it a couple of times and really get to listen to his voice because I like the vocalist, and I think that's very important when it comes to having a great guitarist. You got to have a great vocalist. That's very important, and it has to be important because Ted Nugent, without Derek St. Holmes, I don't think he'd have been that successful, and he knows it. He wrote all those songs that are great, the catchy ones, But I just think this album it stands out. It's catchy. It's fun. It's bluesy. Number one that I like. So all in all, I'm going to give you my rating.
I'm ready.
Because I'm going to give it a 6.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not okay.
That's not bad. That's
well,
not bad.
Based on your review, I thought it'd be higher than that, but
well, you know
maybe
what?
I misinterpreted your excitement.
There was that political song. There was that Hold On. It sounds very political. I didn't really like that one. It kind of like pushed me away. I was like, I don't want to hear about not politics, but it just sounded too.
I understand.
I don't know. Something about it bothered me. And but other than that, all the tracks were fine. There was, like I said, there was a few of them that stood out, like I Need Love, Sharpshooter, and Whiskey Woman. Those songs really, really were great. I like those. So all in all, a 6 for me, and even.
All right. Hey,
right there.
That's cool. I'm good. So let me ask you this real quick before we go to John the Music Nut, who is a true professional, for God's sakes. Would you if you're a fan of Aerosmith or Ted Nugent, would you recommend this record? I mean, if you like their work, or is it such is it a what do I want to say? The brain is a terrible thing. Is it like a departure from that other stuff, or does it kind of fit in there with that, with the Ted fits in? Yeah,
I think it fits in. And if you're looking for something commercial that sounds like it's not AOR, but it's got that feel to it. And it was 1980. What year did it come out? 81. Yeah, 81. That's when all that corporate rock was coming out. So I think so. I think it's in the vein. It's in the vein. Yeah, it's not this. It'll never be this.
Don't forget, I'm just saying you're fitting right in there with what All Music said. They gave it a 3 out of 5. So a 6 out of 10, you're right in that pocket. Thank you, Ernesto. Great review. All right, John the Music Nut, what's your thoughts on this?
Okay. We got Brad Whitford and Derek St. Holmes, 2 of the most underrated guys in rock and roll.
Yes.
They are. I mean, Aerosmith is not Aerosmith without Brad Whitford. He is the MVP of that band. He's writing that great rhythm guitar. He's playing those riffs that you know and love. Derek St. Holmes, I've said this on many channels. Ted Nugent's best stuff was with Derek, and I don't think you can argue it.
No,
and
that's true.
Even if you go later in his career, Spirit of the Wild from 1990, it's either 94 or 95. I think that's one of Ted's best records.
I've got that.
Yeah, that was the return of Derek. Derek was great on that album as well. Derek we were talking about his vocals. He's actually one of the more underrated guitar players too. You just don't really see him play lead unless he's with Ted. If you go see Ted live, and Derek now and then will tour with Ted. He's always been on again, in and out of that band. But if you go see Derek live, Ted puts Derek on a pedestal. He'll say he's one of the best guitar players on the planet. And then Derek will just start ripping. You're like, yep.
Well, you have to like that, John, the fact that Ted, Ted, big brain Ted, he's all about himself, but the fact that he gets Derek St. Holmes,
he does.
And the fact that Derek comes back out and plays, and the fact that he lets him play, you could see where Ted would take the stage. Well, it's kind of like the damn Yankees thing. He kind of took it over, but he gives Derek a moment to shine and play all he wants. You got to love that. That's awesome.
Exactly. And I think like early on in Ted's band, I know we're going a little off track here.
Yeah, we're good.
Derek didn't like the fact that Ted was getting all the attention, because when they first formed the band, it was the Ted Nugent band. That's how they put it out there. And then they'll always put the focus on Ted all the time. But you listen to that first Ted Nugent album, there's 9 tracks. 8 of them are Derek sang those tracks. The only song he didn't sing on there was Motor City Madhouse. But Derek is the star. Ted's playing the songs on there are amazing. But Derek's voice, though, wow. I mean, they had a falling out during Free for All for a little bit, and then he sang a lot of great songs on Cat Scratch Fever too. So anyway, we're gonna go with Whitford St. Holmes from 1981. I Need Love is a good melodic opener. One thing you got here, Derek's vocals are spot on the whole album, and Brad's playing, his lead playing, always plays for the song. He's the solos you can sing. That's what you got a lot of from Brad Whitford on here. Excellent guitar player. But I Need Love is a very strong closer. We got Whiskey Woman, which is more mid-tempo rocker. It's got a real catchy chorus. It's got some cool harmonies on here. Oh, and before I get on to the next track, we got Dave Hewitt plays bass on this, and we got Steve Pace on drums. And you know, they do a great job on here. They, you know, pretty much stay in their lane for the most part, but I mean, it's a very professional job. They do very well. Hold On, it's kind of got this funk bass going on, which dates it a little bit, even though I like funk bass. And in the pre-chorus, some of the guitar lines are like reggae, but they're a little faster. This track it's like I said, it sounds a little dated, but it's decent. Now, from here, the next 4 songs I think are the heart of the album. I think Sharpshooter kicks ass. And you want to hear some great melodic playing on here. There's a nice solo in here from Brad. This is a very strong track. This could have been on AOR. There's some nice drum fills in here from Steve Pace. Behind Brad's solo as well. Every Morning, that could have been the single.
Yeah,
great track.
Great track, catchy riff, great chorus.
Right.
Very memorable track here. Another nice lyrical solo, very strong. Action, very joyous and catchy. These next few tracks here, these are almost on the level of those great rock tracks that are on the Ted albums. And I'm not talking about the big heavy hitters. I'm talking about some of those deep cuts that are so good on those first few albums. They would stand up very well against them. But Action's very good. Shy Away was the single. You can see why. Catchy as Sin, very strong track. Again, you got the very melodic song, very melodic playing from the band. Very strong track. I think this should have got a little more attention on AOR. And I think Every Morning could have been a second single. Like when I hear these tracks, I'm like, how were these not on the radio at least a little bit? It deserved a better fate. I'm not saying this is like the great lost rock album, but there are a lot of good tracks on here. Does it really matter? Doesn't really grab me much. I mean, it's got a funky bass line. It's solid. Next song is Spanish Boy. Now, this riff in here, you'll hear later in a band called Damn Yankees. Because if you listen to that riff, that's Don't Tread on Me. From the second album by Damn Yankees, Don't Tread.
Shit, now I'm going to have to listen to it again.
Check out that riff in there. That's Don't Tread on Me. Because as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, I've heard this before. How ironic. Ted was in Damn Yankees. Derek played with Ted for so many years. Really cool track. The sound effects at the beginning are a little dated, but once it gets into that riff, it's a really cool song. Some great playing again by Brad on here. Mystery Girl. It starts out cool, and I don't know if, like, I was just reading the track listings from All Music. I don't know, like, I don't own this record. I've just only been listening the last few weeks, but it's an okay closer. I don't think it's one of the stronger tracks on the album. Decent. I would rank this 7.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, it's not as good as the early Ted records. Maybe on the line of like a Scream Dream, something like that. I wouldn't say it's on the line of the Aerosmith records that Brad played on. Maybe Rockin' a Hard Place, but Brad wasn't on that one.
Is it better than Night in the Ruts? Or
no, Night in the Ruts is better.
Night in the Ruts is better.
Night in the Ruts is definitely
What
better.
would you give Night in the Ruts?
Oh, that's at least an 8. I mean, there's 3 covers on there, but there's some kick-ass songs on that album.
7.
Oh my gosh, Bone to Bone. Their cover of Think About It's really good. No surprise.
Oh, I wish it Walking in the Sand.
Remember Walking
They
in the
used
Sand?
to play that on FM rock radio all the time back in the day. And they played it all the time. But now you don't ever hear it anymore. But every time I hear that song, it just like takes me back to when I was a kid.
And to think about that record, Night in the Ruts, I mean, outside of that song, what would be the single? As great as that album is.
Walking in the Sand. That was the single, wasn't it?
It was it's a cover song.
Yeah, but it was the single too, wasn't it?
It had to be. What I'm saying is it had to be, and it only charted in like the 60s. But
yeah, well, you know, think about it. Aerosmith at that time really, you know, they started to falter with Draw the Line. Not that I like Draw the Line, don't get me wrong. But you know,
I think I'm sorry.
No, there's only a certain lifespan. You know what I mean?
You know, very good run in the 70s. I mean, you got to give at least 8 of those. I'm sorry. No, you know where I'm going. All those albums are at least an 8, and Toys in the Attic and Rocks are lights out. They're fantastic records. There you go. Yeah,
but that's okay. A 7, John, that's fine. That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's throw her to DC Tune Time. Get his thoughts on this record.
Well, I believe my history with this album may be different than everybody else on the panel, because I knew of this album back in '81, but I didn't listen to it until last week. So you're getting the perspective of somebody who was aware of the album at the time, but just never pursued it. I was a fan of Ted Nugent's band, and I was a fan humongously of Aerosmith. But I don't know, maybe it was that cover that threw me. If I was in a record shop, that cover, my God, did you just take a Polaroid with Whitford leaning into saying Holmes? It's like, are you guys dating, or what's going on here? It's not.
Well, I didn't think that.
It's like a Hall & Oates cover.
Well, it's kind of a Hall & Oates kind of thing with that Silver album. But I mean, it's just like a random photo, like they were clicking off a dozen or two. So use that one, slap it on the front.
I think that maybe. Well, I'm going to throw it out to the panel. Do you think that maybe the album cover had a lot to do with it? That maybe it could have sold better. It could have been more popular. Maybe people were turned off by the album cover.
It's not dynamic. It's not dynamic in any way. Right. It's just like, oh, what the hell is this?
It's not like they did get I'm in you or something.
Well, there's not enough open shirt action on this one.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. They were signed to Columbia. So someone at Columbia saw something with these guys.
Well, so was Ted.
Well, with the pedigree, with the pedigree of both artists, it's like, we got one of the guitarists from Aerosmith.
Well, Ted was on Epic, wasn't he?
Isn't Epic a division of Columbia, though?
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying. But you're thinking about this band, you think about these guys in 1981. It's not like Aerosmith's career was doing anything, and Ted, at this point, wasn't doing a whole lot. I'm just saying. Yeah. It's like I could see maybe these two gentlemen doing a record 2 years before, maybe. Was 81 too late? You know, think about the musical landscape. I'm just throwing it out.
I think the hardcore 70s classic rock fans that loved Aerosmith and they started to toboggan downhill, you're still going to get some interest from those people if Whitford's put an album out with the singer from Ted Nugent's band. I think that the pedigree there is enough that you would get fans of those two bands that at least have a little bit more than a casual interest in this album. Obviously, I didn't pull the trigger. I heard nothing from it on the radio back in the day. I hope I don't make any enemies or anything, because Ernesto, my friends. This is
you don't want anybody. You don't want anybody to burn a cross in your yard or set your house on fire, correct?
None of that stuff. I don't need that at this point in my life.
Excellent.
To me, this is meat and potatoes rock. It's competently played and sung, but to me, I don't feel like there's really anything exceptional about it, like I do about Hughes Thrall. That meeting of those two guys, those songs are like, pow! They just grab me. And all these years later, I still go to that album and I'd still put it up there at 9.5, 10. I love it. Yeah. It's funny because I didn't know anything about if they released anything as a single or anything. My favorite song on here is Shy Away. And then I looked at Wikipedia, and that is the single from the album.
Yeah.
Right. So at least that my bearings are a little bit tighter as far as picking what's for the kind of. Well, if you watched our 1976 show, you'd probably be shocked that Grant still has me on the show here. And then the other song that I liked was Every Morning. It was one of the better tunes.
That's a good song.
Yeah, always found that song Whiskey Woman. That's like on every Molly Hatchet album. There's a song on there
about whiskey.
Whiskey drinking woman.
Hey, they love whiskey and Molly Hatchet.
Southern rock. Southern rock. Whiskey, you done me wrong.
And it's funny because Whiskey Woman is covered by a lot of country singers. I didn't realize how many country singers.
When you brought that up, Ernesto, I said, boy, Ernesto and I are on the same wavelength there because, to me, I hear that title, that song, and the way it played out, I'm saying this is Southern rock or modern country type folk would really gravitate towards that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's always the songs, and always the songs. And like I said, it's competently played and sung, but the songs aren't grabbing me at all. It's competent, but it's never anything that I would reach to given the massive collection of material that's out there. And when I was researching, somebody did say in a comment on YouTube, where I played this album, this may be their favorite album ever. So we all hear things differently, do we not? For some person, this is their favorite album. So.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's what makes these conversations so interesting too.
This is why we talk about this stuff, because everyone does hear everything differently, and it's fun to just talk music. It
was kind of fun to listen and to pick out the little bits where you could see the Nugent band influence and then the Aerosmith influence, because they're weaved in there within the context of the songs. I don't want to come off as Mr. Sour Apples. I'll do that on the Christmas Wall Punchers thing. But it's got a couple of good songs on here, but just overall, it didn't for me, and it's just I'm just being honest.
Do you feel that these two guys, even though they're immensely talented, are just kind of they got a record deal and they're going through the motions? You don't feel that they're inspired? What
are you doing? What are you gonna do if you're Brad Whitford, who's kind of like as talented as he is? He's kind of a side guy, and he's not going to front a band. He just doesn't have that kind of quality to him. He has the talent, and with St. Holmes, you have a guy that has a presence and that you could build a band visually and tour around.
Yeah.
But I just think between the two of them, they just their collaboration, the songs just weren't there. Whereas with Rawl and Hughes, they have magic. Despite all
if you look at
that drug-addled minds they brought to the table. I mean, stunning what those guys came up with at the time.
Now, if you follow Grant's Rock Warehouse, and we've talked about the Joe Perry project and that first Joe Perry project album, and everyone knows what a big fan I am on that. There are hooks. There is great playing.
Yeah,
I like the production. It's a Jack Douglas production. I think the first.
I pulled the trigger on that Joe Perry album.
I love that Joe Perry album. And this is not that album.
No, you would think being the Aerosmith guy I was, and I also really like Ted Nugent, this would be a natural for me. I didn't hear anything like, say, on the radio. And the vibe, looking at
So what would you give? What's your
right
rating?
In the middle, 4 or 5. It's right in the middle. Very well done. 5.
5. So you're fitting right in there with all the rest, allmusic.com.
Yeah, I'm right there. Normally I'm not right there with the critics, but
everyone's pretty much right there in that center. But I'm sure Byron, when we get to him, he's going to give it a glowing review because he loves this record. Probably
he has told me he hates when any of these songs are played at wedding receptions.
Yes, exactly.
He's like throwing cake and parsley potatoes. He hates them.
Yeah. I just want to say that Shy Away was what my wife and I danced to during our
really?
Oh,
no shit.
Nah, you're full of shit.
No.
What the?
Yeah, it was. Why are you saying that?
Sure, was it Too Shy by Kaja Gugu?
No, it was actually a Matthew Sweet song. We danced to Matthew Sweet.
Oh, okay.
We did. It's true.
Very nice.
So what kind of guy I am? Very romantic.
I'm getting a little inside baseball here with Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse.
That's right.
Always nice.
That's true. So anyway, sorry, we're having fun talking about this. So DC gives this a 5, ladies and gentlemen.
Give it a 5.
Thank you, DC. I think that's
I did my best.
Hey, everybody hears stuff differently. We're trying to be honest. We want to give honest reviews on this channel. So thank you so much. Let's throw it over to BM Bolt.
Yeah.
And for anyone who didn't know, Tuesday night, Mrs. BM Bolt was on the channel making an appearance. So
check
that out. Check that out in the link. She did a wonderful job, and she's a musicologist as far as I'm concerned. She's very good. So it's always nice to have new blood in the warehouse. So anyway, Byron, what's your thoughts on Whitford St. Holmes?
Yeah, I agree with some of the things that everybody said. I disagree with some of the things that everybody said.
Oh my.
Interesting. So yeah, I remember when this first came out, I heard Shy Away on the radio, because I guess I'm pretty old. I don't know if I'm the oldest guy here. Maybe not.
Well, you don't got me beat. No, sir.
I'm 59.
DC's really old.
I'm really old. And I was making out the bread songs back in the early 70s. I'm an old man.
So,
well, you're holding up, old man.
So I remember hearing Shy Away, and then that was pretty good, but I didn't really think a whole lot about it. And then it was either late 82 or early 83. I'm at Musicland. And we had Musicland.
Yes. Yes, Musicland. Yes.
And I bought 2 albums that day. You're not going to get one of them was Whitford St. Holmes. Anybody want to guess what the second one was?
So it's 1981. Whitford St. Holmes just came out. Did you
early
buy
83, I think it's
Hughes
early
Thrall.
83. Hughes Thrall. Yes.
Oh, wow.
For the win. For the win.
I bought those 2 albums at the same time.
This
Wow.
will be interesting.
Funny, Ernesto would brought
rotating
that
for
up.
a second.
That's why I was comparing it.
Because
I know.
to me, it was a kind of a similar deal. It was 2 guys from different bands teaming up, you know. Now, yeah, the albums aren't really the same, but it was kind of the same kind of a deal, you know, as these 2 guys got together.
They're like records that are cousins.
Yes, they are. So yeah, I bought those at the exact same time. I no longer have it because I sold off so much of my collection over the years. But anyway, so I've had it for 40 years.
Wow.
But here's my opinion is they aren't really breaking any new ground with this album. But it's a solid 80s hard rock record. You can hear the roots from the 70s, and little blues influences in their lives. I would say the musicianship is pretty good, but it's nothing extraordinary. It's kind of like listening to a Nugent album as far as his vocals and stuff go, but it doesn't have Nugent's edge and kind of the vocal, the lyrical edge that Ted's stuff was kind of a little risque at times. It doesn't have any of that, but it's solid. I always felt that Ted was kind of threatened by Derek's presence in the band after that first album they did together, and so I don't know if that's why Derek ended up leaving and then coming back again and during Free for All, and even in Cat Scratch Fever, yeah, Derek's got some vocals, but Ted really had the hit singles for the most part. Cat Scratch Fever.
Well,
Ted,
have you ever heard Ted talk about that? He wasn't going to make that mistake again, though. So if it's the great songs on the record,
yeah, right.
Ted's going to make sure he sings them and not Derek.
Right. But I mean, he did still get a couple good songs like "Live It Up" and "Working Hard, Playing Hard" on that album. But the big songs, no, he didn't get.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of felt like it was a little bit of a tragedy that we really didn't get a whole lot of Derek. We should have been getting Derek. We got that first Nugent album, and then we didn't get as much Derek as we should have got during that peak of Nugent's career. And I just feel like Derek kind of got hosed on that a little bit. So nobody else, and I've noticed nobody's brought up the St. Paradise album tonight.
Oh yeah, his first group, right?
Yeah, that was before this. I used to have that too. I don't have it anymore.
I've never heard it.
That was his first group.
It's solid. I would say it's similar to this in a lot of ways, but I don't want to talk about that tonight since we're not really focusing on that. Maybe we'll talk about that in some other episode. So anyway, getting back to the album, I really like the vocals. It's Derek. He's a great singer. I think the songs are strong, but they're not real memorable. There's nothing that I'm like, Shy Away, I can probably sing you that. I don't think I could sing you any of the other songs just if you said, well, how does this go? I just can't do it. But
Hit us with some Shy Away, won't you?
Does it sound like a Grand Funk album?
Now, Grand Funk, I think, had some more memorable tunes. But,
Does it sound like E Pluribus Funk to you?
What about Sharpshooter? That was a good song. You know, like Sharpshooter?
Okay, so I got on my notes here. I really like I Need Love.
Yeah.
Whiskey Woman. Sharpshooter was one of the ones, and then Shy Away were like the four that really stood out to me the most. But like I said, it's good, but it's not great in my opinion. Oh, I also said I thought Mystery Girl wasn't too bad. Right. The intro reminded me a little bit of AC/DC. Kind of starts out that way. But I really couldn't put my finger on who these guys reminded me
of. Yeah.
I mean, you could say maybe some Nugent. Like I said, it doesn't have Nugent's edge to it at all. It's way more.
It's safe. This record's safe. There's nothing on here that kind of goes out on the edge, you know. It's just safe.
There is cowbell on that last song, though.
Yeah, there was some
that cowbell's not safe at all.
Yeah, I remember the cowbell. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, I think it's a pretty solid album, but there's just nothing about it that all that memorable.
Okay.
The only thing that really stands out to me is the singing. Everything else is very good, but the singing is everything's good, but the singing is very good.
Right. So you're saying that the songwriting on here is pretty pedestrian, no hooks, nothing that stands out. I mean, Shy Away stands out for you to some degree, but there's not anything that really speaks to you. It's just pedestrian rock and roll.
I think the songs are, I don't think there's really a bad song on there. I think the songs are fine, but there's nothing exceptional about it.
Okay.
You didn't think Brad's guitar work was actually good? Like really, it was standing out from.
Yeah, but can that save a record though? Can that save the record?
It doesn't. It's the guitar playing is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't grab me.
Right.
Like Ted does.
If you don't have the songs, everything else will fall apart.
It's the songs.
Having said all that, I'm going to give it a 7.
Huh?
I'll be damned. I thought you were going to give it a 4.35.
I always rate things pretty high. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, like it, but you
I think that might be the highest. Well, John, you gave it a 7, right?
I did too.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
So we've got a 6, a 7, a 5, and a 7.
Wow.
I think maybe it's the vocal. I just love his vocals.
Yeah, there's no question.
Absolutely.
He is one of the best.
He's a great singer, but if you don't have the songs to back it up,
there you go.
You could be the best
band record with his vocals. I'm telling you.
But does he? You only gave it a 7.
Well, if Ted was singing it, let's say.
Well, I think Ted's fine as a singer, though.
Here's
Ted's don't bother me at all. Maybe it might bother some people, but I'll take Derek or Ted. Ted's got a lot of personality.
Ted's fine.
He can carry it. You know, you don't need Derek. Ted can handle it.
Here's a question that I want to throw out. Say you have Brad Whitford, all right? Mm-hmm. And then you pull out a Derek. Now you have 2 choices of singers. I'm going to give you the 2 choices. Johnny Winter. I mean, it's the Johnny Van Zandt or Don Barnes. Who would you use?
Wait a minute.
38 Special guys.
Oh God, Don Barnes is. I love Don Barnes.
Me too.
Yeah. Donnie, I don't know what Donnie really wasn't that great.
He wasn't that great, but Don Barnes.
Don Barnes.
When Don Barnes started to sing songs in 38 Special, that's when everything clicked. And you look at all those singles. Who's singing? It's not the Van Zandt. It's the Barnes. So he had a great voice. I'll be seeing him on the 80s cruise here.
I think Johnny had a good voice too.
Not like Don Barnes.
Well, no, not. I'm just saying one of those guys would come in, and if they would have that album, would they make a difference? You know.
There's something about Derek.
Man. I think the record needs better songs.
Yeah.
I think it
doesn't matter.
I feel like we just weren't given enough Derek back in the late 70s, early 80s. We got that taste. We got the taste with the first Nugent album, and then we didn't get hardly anything after that. We got
Byron. You forgot MSG. He was on MSG.
One song.
Yeah, but he also came out on the live album though.
Yeah, but he only got the one song on the studio album, and I was like, God, yes, Derek's on every album. But yeah, I wish we would have gotten more Derek when he was younger. But
yeah.
Well, my thoughts on the record. I'm kind of aligning myself with BM Bolt because I think the playing sounds fine. The production's fine. I don't think the songs are there. They just kind of lay there. When I listen to it, there's nothing that really stands out. And I can see why the reviews, they just give it 3 stars, because it's there's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing great about it. With the talent that we're dealing with Brad Whitford and Derek St. Holmes, I expected more. Maybe this is why we only got 1 record. Maybe, 2016, they thought, well, enough time has went by. Let's do something else. But this album was virtually ignored. It didn't sell. Was it timing? Was it the songs? It could have been a lot of different things. But Shy Away as a single is the best track on the album. Yes, Derek sounds great. Yes, Brad sounds great. But when it comes down to it, there's nothing memorable about it. It's just, it is what it is. You look at this, you expected more out of it, and you're disappointed when you hear it because you expected more. It's meat and potatoes.
Yep. It's solid from a music standpoint of playing and singing, but it's the songs. It's just, there's nothing that's really pulling me in.
And the other thing is, I just want to throw out, now, yeah, we can look at it and go, yeah, it's Whitford St. Holmes, and we know who these people are. But for the record buying public in 1981, did they really know who Brad Whitford and Derek St. Holmes were?
That's a great point. And that's true today. I mean, that's why there's able to have these touring classic rock bands with only the drummer or nobody from the original band.
Right.
People, I went to see so-and-so, yeah. And nobody, they don't care.
Right. But as Aerosmith members go, is Brad Whitford stand out? Everybody, you all mentioned that he's much more of a side player, stands in the background. He's no Joe Perry who's out front.
Right.
I would probably think that I'm probably going to go on the, I would say Whitford's a better player. I think what he plays is absolutely brilliant, plays to the song, knows how to handle the track. I love Brad Whitford as a player, but he doesn't have that charismatic thing that Joe Perry has.
Right.
And for him to do a solo project with Derek St. Holmes, which no one knows who Derek was. Everybody knows Ted. We've got 2 band members that were kind of in the background. Does Derek, he never really made it.
Right.
He's not charismatic. Ted, look at Ted Nugent. He'll overpower anybody. And that's not taking away from it, but I'm not sure if the combination of these 2 gentlemen it's going to sell records.
Right.
Us being music geeks, we go, oh, wow, that's cool. But record buying public in 1, who are these 2 people? And the album cover, to be honest, the logo is kind of ho-hum. And the photo.
It's that stencil font. It just.
But it is of its time. It worked for Kiss Alive too, and Kiss Alive, but
worked for Kiss Alive, but and it just seems like there was no effort put into the cover presentation. And St. Holmes is more of a presence, but Whitford is just kind of a smallish man, and him leaning in with his head on it. It just
that's the quote of the day. He's a smallish man. He's leaning in. I don't know.
Leaning in. It just, the whole vibe is just like, this doesn't say hard rock power and, dynamics.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, folks.
I think there's a lot of things going against it. It's a good meat and potatoes album. It's okay. It's not a classic by any means. So, like I said, we've got a 6, we've got a 7, we've got a 5, and a 7. 2 7s, 6, and a 5. I'm going to go right along with all music. I'm going to give this a 5. It just kind of lays there. And if I'm in a relationship, I just don't want something laying there, so to speak. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Grant takes his music seriously, folks.
I just thought I'd put that in there.
You just don't lie there like a slab of vinyl. Come on, baby.
Come on. So when we tally this dog up,
6.
what do we have?
We've got Byron Bolt, right? Zeroed in on
the mathematician in the group.
Yes.
Byron Bolt. We've got a 5.9.
2 5s, 2 7s.
We'll give it a 6. Round it up to a 6.
Yeah, 6.
Hey, not in my calculations. I'm a scientist. So we're going to give this a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay. I'd say I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Would I recommend this to somebody who wants to listen to more Brad Whitford and Derek St. Holmes? I'd say no.
Oh, I'd say yes.
Yeah,
I don't think a
If
6
you
is
want to hear more
recommend.
Derek St. Holmes, you recommend it. I think.
Yeah.
That might be.
Then rate it higher than Byron. Bastard.
I'd recommend it, but I'd say don't pay top dollar for it. Like if you can
Right.
get this reasonable, pick it up. You,
Right.
you might like it. If you like this kind of music,
If you're curious,
Hard to find.
Yeah.
pick it up.
Kyle,
But I wouldn't
tell me.
recommend it.
It got reissued in 1990. So,
I've got
Just
that
like-
version of it, but it also came out on Rock Candy later.
oh, it did.
Didn't it?
I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
pretty sure it did. Or was
With
that
the
the
bonus
other one? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so we're giving this a 6. Does anybody have, before we wrap this up, anybody else have anything to add about this or anything else? I think it was a good discussion. It was definitely a fun discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were all pretty much on the same page, which never really happens, but it did tonight.
Here's something to think about. What if Derek stayed with Ted a little longer? Because Byron,
Would have been good.
as you correctly stated, we didn't get enough of Derek back in the day. Would Weekend Warriors have been a more successful record?
I bought Weekend Warriors shortly after it came out. That was my first Ted album that I've ever bought. I mean, I heard some Ted before that, and I bought it, kind of just not really knowing. I think I had heard what was the first hit single on that?
Each a bad?
Weekend Warriors.
Need You Bad. Need You Bad was the first track, and I think I had heard that, but I didn't really put it all together. But it was like, well, this isn't the same. It's a different singer now. It was
Yeah.
Charlie Hughes,
Charlie Hume.
and it was, but it wasn't Derek.
Right.
Um,
But see, I think you could put Derek with any other guitarist and it'll sound good.
yeah,
Pretty
I don't
much.
know why he didn't really
Yeah.
hook up with somebody. Well, he did Schenker, but that didn't last.
Right.
It'd been nice if he had hooked up with somebody else to further his
Yeah.
career.
Like a Montrose or something,
Something, yeah.
Oh, that'd have been interesting.
That would have been good. I think that
That'd
might have been a good
interesting.
pairing.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's genius there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Genius.
if he would have hooked up with Ronnie Montrose, not saying that the
They had
vocalist
Davy
that he
Patterson
had,
at that point,
it was very good, but who's to say? I mean, that's very interesting.
That would have sounded, I would buy that album.
Gary
There
Moore
you
hooked
go.
up with Charlie Hune, I think,
Yeah.
after that on the Dirty Fingers album.
Yeah.
I think that was after Nugent. So,
Yeah. But I think Derek has so much potential. I think he could have been on so many other albums and
Very much as everyone has said, very much underused, and really one of the great hard rock voices of that era, no question.
And he was, I would say that he was Ted Nugent's secret weapon at the
Mhm.
time. And it's too bad that they couldn't continue that. Yeah, I know he came back later, but it would have been nice to see that relationship flourish even more. But
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be, ladies and gentlemen. And we're still here to talk about it. So the earth didn't stop rotating.
That's right.
We're okay. But yeah. But there you go. I just don't think this is the record. Yeah, if you like him, get it. If you're a completist, get it. But I don't think it's a
Must have.
must have.
Right.
Not for me, no.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it since I prepped for it. So I prepped for it a long time ago. So I just don't reach for it. I'm not going to get rid of it, but
right.
you don't get rid of anything.
no, because you never know in the warehouse when something will pop up and you'll have to appear with something like a superhero and put your cape on and go, well, here it is.
Yeah.
You didn't pull it out tonight.
I'm going to put the graphic up. I don't need to pull it out. But there you go. So we give this record a 6.0. So yeah, I would recommend it. Byron says get it, but Byron most of the time doesn't know what he's talking about.
If you're a big Derek St. Holmes fan, I think you should get this.
Yeah.
And Whitford. Don't forget Brad
Or
Whitford.
Whitford. But if you're a St. Holmes fan, you need to own this.
All right, there you go. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this dog up. I want to thank everyone for coming on. Byron, Ernesto, John the Music Nut, and of course, DC Tune Time. Again, another one and done,
Sort of.
wrapped up. We've kinda. That's what I'm going to call it. One and done, kinda. but it's a good record to talk about, you know. And as everyone knows, we're on this channel, we try to talk music that no one's talking about. And who is talking Whitford St. Holmes, for crying out loud?
Right.
Here on the Warehouse, we are. So anyway, thanks everybody for showing up. Please leave a comment about this record. Do you like this record? Are you a big Aerosmith fan? Do you like Ted Nugent? Derek St. Holmes, does he rock your world? We want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. And please like, subscribe. Hey, buy some merch. I never mentioned that.
Oh,
but we do
too.
have merch
On
down in the
sale
bottom.
still, right?
Look.
Oh, look at John's wearing his.
John is wearing the colors, as he should.
I am derelict and not wearing one of mine tonight. But
well, you know, it was nice
I am
seeing
derelict.
you there, DC. Nice seeing you.
So long.
Oh, I'm just going to mute you. There, he can't hear him. So, yeah, he could. All right. I'll unmute you. Oh, I can't unmute you.
I did it.
Okay. Anyway,
I have the control.
We love DC. But anyway, gentlemen, it was another good discussion. I'm sure we have something in the pipeline, but maybe we do. What's next?
We got a lot in the pipeline.
What's next, DC?
Well, you and I are going to undertake in
ahead.
our continuing pursuit of my converting you to loving Grand Funk Railroad. We're going to tackle that first live album.
Yes.
And you know what? I've got the Past Masters version of that, the Japanese CD on Past Masters, and I've been prepping for it. So
good. And Ernesto's Brainstorm, which was fantastic for this holiday season. I don't know when people will be watching this, but we have the Christmas
soon because I don't have much.
Christmas Wall Puncher special. It's going to go through the roof.
Yes, I think everybody better bring on their game, man, because it's going to be good.
And speaking Grand Funk Railroad, we also have the post GFR band Flint without Mark Farner, which Grant loves. That's also coming up.
That's right.
That'll be good.
Oh, it's lots of good stuff, folks.
Lots of good stuff. So stay tuned to the Warehouse. Thanks, DC, for that promo, because you have. Oh, look at that! He's got a white label promo.
There you go.
Of course, they're all white label promo.
Of course, he has everything's white label in Byron's collection. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Thanks, everybody. Tune in and give a comment. And we'll see these gentlemen on the next one. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. Bye.